16th meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals to order. Would everyone please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, the first item on our agenda is a continued hearing, 24-26 for 400 District Ave. Jason Perillo representing residents in Burlington Marriott.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Jason Perillo here tonight representing Pro Sign Service. This petition is to replace the four signs for Residents Inn at 400 District Ave. The signs on the building now, the three wall signs are down because they're re-siding the building. The canopy sign is still up. So we're replacing the four signs. Signs 1, 2, and 3 are going, the new proposed signs are going to be smaller than what was there previously. And the canopy sign number 4 is going to just be a slightly larger than what was there previously. The existing sign that was there is 30 square feet, and the proposed is 34.16. But I will note that the sign number 3 is going down in size pretty drastically. The previous sign was 190, and the new one is 121. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
All right, thank you. I'm going to open it up to the board. And start with Jeremy.
So, just for my own understanding,
Yeah.
is the redoing the signs triggered by the re-siding, or is it a rebranding? Because I noticed it
yeah.
There's a little bit of both.
Yeah, it is. It's a little bit of both, but yeah, they definitely have kind of like a new format, new layout of with the way the signage reads. So it is different.
Okay. I really have no other questions.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks. Charles?
I don't really have any questions. Anytime signs get smaller, I usually don't.
All right. Joe?
I don't have any questions right now.
All right. John? Yeah, I'm going to concur with the rest of the board. Anytime signs get smaller, it doesn't look like it's a drastic change. So this is a public hearing. Any members of the public want to speak on this matter? Don't everyone jump at once. All right. Anyone else have anything else to add to this?
The signs are all gonna be smaller, except for the one, the total square footage is coming down.
Yeah.
For right now, too.
All right. We have a motion for the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Motion has been made and seconded to close the public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 5-0-0. All right. Do we have any other motions?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve 400 District Ave, Residence Inn by Marriott, for 4 wall signs. For 4 wall signs. Sign 1 being 6 foot by 11 inches in height, by 16 feet 11 inches in length. Sign 2 being 3 foot, 4.
I think they changed.
Oh, they
Yeah, they changed
Oh,
it
sorry.
now.
Yeah, I got it right here.
Yeah.
Yep. So, okay. Sign 1 being 3 foot, 4 5/8 inches in height by 16 foot, 11 inches in length. Sign 2 being 3 foot, 4 5/8 inches in height by 16 foot, 11 inches. Sign 3 being 5 foot 1 in height and by 24 foot in length. And sign 4 being 1 foot, 7 7/8 inches in height by 21 feet, 1 1/8 inches in length, as shown on plans dated, I have it up. As shown on plans dated 5/8/2024. The condition of no other signs, even if by right, and not to exceed 90 lumens per square foot.
Second.
All right, motion has been made and seconded to approve 4 wall signs for 400 District Ave for Sign 1 being 3 feet 4 and 5/8 inches in height and 16 feet 11 inches in length. Sign 2 being 3 feet 4 and 5/8 inches in height, 16 feet 11 inches in length. Sign 3 being 5 foot 1 inches in height, 24 feet in length. Sign 4 being 1 foot 7 and 7/8 inches in height, 21 feet 1 and 1/8 inches in length, with the conditions of no other signs, even if by right, and no more than 90 lumens per square foot. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, and the next hearing is a new hearing, 24-27 for 77 South Bedford Street. And still, Mr. Perillo, with ProSign Service for
Great.
Scientific Systems.
Yeah, busy night for me, thanks. Yeah, so this one is for one wall sign that is 5 foot high by 35 foot 9 inches long, installed above the third floor at 77 South Bedford Street. This sign is for a business called Scientific Systems. The sign faces southwest, so it would be visible for traffic traveling north on the highway. Signs should not be visible by any residential neighborhoods. It will comply with the lumens restriction that you have. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
All right, I'm going to turn it over to the board. We'll start with John this time.
How much square footage is Scientific Systems in the building?
I don't have the exact number. All I know is that they have some space on the first floor and then also some space on the third floor. But if you need to know the exact square footage they occupy, I'll have to come back.
Well, I'm curious as to who
Yeah.
else is in there and who else is going to
Yeah.
want what,
Yeah,
because no matter what we do here, there'll be a,
yeah, of course.
so they can't.
Yeah. I know that there are no other wall signs right now, like this on the building.
I'm good for now.
All right. Joe?
No questions.
Charles?
I don't really have any questions. The only thing I was concerned about is other tenants in the building. It doesn't sound like they have any other signs on the building.
Yeah.
I don't really have any questions.
Okay, Jeremy?
I don't have any additional questions.
Okay, I'm just taking one quick look right now. So it has Genesis on the building, or it was on there at one time. Is that
Right.
replacing that?
Yeah, that's gone. It's actually, there's nothing there right now.
Okay, so
I was just there today.
that's been removed.
Yeah.
Okay.
How many square footage is the Genesis?
I would have to pull that one. That one's gonna be a bit of a trick.
I just want to know if the sign is bigger than that sign.
By the layout of the building.
Mind if I ask?
Go ahead.
What is the length of the sign? There's like 3 different numbers on here, just trying to,
Yeah, it is added up to equal the 35 foot 9.
okay, 35 feet.
Yeah, I can't pull anything on the Genesis, but there's only limited space within the concrete panel. So I don't know if you want to look at my screen. It's in the same spot. What's being proposed.
Do you know the square footage of the Genesis?
No, unfortunately, I don't. I mean, I know that the one we're proposing is 5 feet high. So I would assume that would means that concrete panel could be 6 or 7 feet in height. I don't know if that helps scale off what was there previously.
Yeah, I don't foresee.
Probably more like 7 or 8 feet.
I don't foresee an issue. There's only so much room you can work
Right.
with on the
Yeah, yeah.
panel.
I can see that. That's fine. I'm all set.
Okay. Anyone else have anything else to add to that before I open up to the public? All right, this is a public hearing. Anyone who would like to speak on this matter? Seeing none. Does anyone else have anything else to add? Any motions?
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to close the public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500. Okay, any other motions?
I'll make a motion to approve 77 South Bedford Street for a wall sign reading Scientific Systems, the logo. Wall sign is proposed to be, or will be 5 feet in height by 35 feet, 9 inches in length, as shown, plan submitted in the application. We don't have a date on it. With the condition of no other sign, even if by right, and not to exceed 90 lumens per square foot.
All right, the motion has been made and seconded to approve a sign for 77 South, what, oh, sorry, I got ahead of myself. I apologize. The motion has been made and seconded to approve a sign for 77 South Bedford Street for Scientific Systems for 5 feet in height, 35 feet, 9 inches in length, to read Scientific Systems with the conditions of no other signs, even if by right, and not to exceed 90 lumens, per square foot. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? 500.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you. All right, the next item on our agenda is a new hearing, 24-28 for 25 Blue Sky Drive. We have Ms. Christine Hung, representing Vericel Corporation.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. For the record, Christine Hung, attorney at Reamer and Bronstein, representing Vericel Corporation. With me tonight, I have Becca Clifford from Sign Design, and if there are questions by the board, we can call them up. Also, Maureen Reynolds and Joe Romano, representatives from Vericel. We are before you tonight requesting a special sign permit for 2 wall signs at 25 Blue Sky Drive. This building is a new 270,000 square foot state-of-the-art life science building, of which Vericel will be occupying approximately 120,000 square feet as their corporate headquarters. They are requesting 1 sign, so just to orient you, if you are standing on Middlesex Turnpike and looking up at the building, they're occupying the left side of the building, so that would be the north elevation, 1 sign on that side, and then in the back of the building, which is really the front entrance, on the right side. This sign is part of the Northwest Park PDD bylaws, which allows at the 2nd floor elevation a sign that is 6 feet in height and then no greater than 10 feet in length. It is compliant with the height requirement, but it's longer. And so we're seeking a special permit to allow for that additional length. We feel that because of the distance from Middlesex Turnpike and the expanse of the large building, that this is a reasonable request. So happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
All right. I will start with Jeremy this time.
So,
We also have the,
Yeah, I need to see those.
Just one second so they can review that, look at it.
I have a couple of questions.
Go ahead.
yeah,
Yeah.
Before you guys are waiting. I know you said Vericel's occupying 120,000 square feet. How much is left, I guess, in the building?
So 270 minus 120, like 150, and then that's going to be occupied by the Broad Institute of Harvard and MIT. And they've actually filed their sign permit application, so we'll be before you sometime in August.
Okay.
And as part of the application, I've submitted renderings showing the renderings of the sign on the facade of the building as well.
Yeah, I'm looking at that now.
yeah, I know I saw one with the street view because it is set quite far back.
Mm-hmm.
And it was clearly visible, but not too large. So you said that's the one facing the street, that's not the front of the building. The other side, the main entrance, And how large is that sign?
It's the same size, so both wall signs will be the same size.
Okay. Okay. I really don't have any other questions.
Are these the scale?
Yes?
Is the, do we have the Broad application?
All right, so, John, you've taken a look.
Yeah.
Over to you.
It looks appropriate to me.
Okay.
I don't think they're asking for too much. So, negative for it.
All right.
Their world headquarters are coming in, and soon support them. So I'm good with it.
All right. Joe?
No questions.
Charles, anything else to add?
No, I don't have any questions at the
Jeremy?
moment.
Good.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I've already reviewed it. Looks appropriate. I concur with everyone else, so this is a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak on this matter, please raise your hand. Seeing none. All right. Any motions?
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to close the public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstain? 500. All right, anything else? Any motions?
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to pull it up right now.
Ah,
Make a motion to approve 2 wall signs for 25 Blue Sky Drive, Vericel Corporation. Both signs are proposed to be 52 inches in height by 332 inches in length, to read Vericel, as shown on the plans that are dated. Yep, right there, I can find it. I got it. 4/10/2024? Yep, 4/10/2024. In addition of no other signs, even if by right, not to exceed 90 lumens per square foot.
Second.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded to approve a sign for 25 Blue Sky Drive for a sign reading Vericel in accordance with plans dated 4/10/2024 for both signs to be 52 inches in height and 332 inches in length, with the special conditions not to exceed 90 lumens per square foot and no other signs, even if by right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? 500.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is a new application, 24-29 for 5 Creston Ave, Clayton Williams. Would someone like to read this one into the record?
Yep, I'll take care of it. The applicant is seeking a variance to remove the existing split-level home being 26-foot deep by 43-foot wide with a 16-foot by 20-foot deck, and rebuild a new 2-story home being 40 feet deep by 62 feet wide. The family is aging out of the split level and intends to build a first-floor master house plan with better accessibility requiring a larger footprint. The current home has a front setback of 26.6 feet, a left side setback of 19.3 feet, and a right side setback of 19.8 feet. The reconstructed single-family home meets the front and right setbacks of 25 feet and 15 feet respectively, but encroaches 9.6 feet into the left side setback of 5.4 feet. Per the building inspector's denial letter dated June 13th, 2024, the proposed plot plan dated June 13th, 2024, the proposed new home will be in violation of the town's zoning bylaws, including but not limited to Article 5, Section 5.2.0, 0.
All right. So,
Right.
give us a rundown.
Sure. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Clay Williams on behalf of the property owners, Mr. and Mrs. Patel, over at 5 Crescent Avenue here in Burlington. They are proposing to tear down their existing home, rebuild a new home with a larger footprint in the same place. They're trying to upgrade their home, a little bit more space. The house currently exists as a split-level home, which if you're familiar, it features a whole lot of stairs from the outside into the foyer, going up and down, basically any point of entry on the home. So they would be looking to rebuild a first-floor master home plan, which features a slightly larger footprint, which is kind of the basis for the variance we've requested here. They've been in the neighborhood for almost 30 years. They love living there. They wish to stay. So we're here to get some feedback from you all on, the size of the home here, if it would be possible to get that variance. I know also we have some members from the Conservation Commission here. I attended their meeting last week virtually, and as an abutter, they've got a couple of comments and questions as well. The house will be built by Cella Construction, Rico Cella, who's been a longtime Burlington resident. He's been building homes here in town for the better part of a decade. And I think, your intro laid out some of the specifics of the size of the home and the variance that we're encroaching into. So I guess with that, I'd, open it up for any questions from the board or for the public.
All right, thank you. We'll start with Jeremy.
So, obviously, this is a much larger footprint than the last. How tall is this going to be? Is it,
It would be this traditional 2 stories, so it would meet existing zoning. We're at kind of the preliminary stages of home plan design here. So we're basically trying to give the architect some feedback on what he can design to.
okay. Just noting that that is quite a wide house. It's asking for a variance, but you're working with 82 feet of frontage as opposed to 100. So if you had the 100, you could theoretically go up to 70. So, what we generally look for is a hardship and a reason for the variance.
Right.
So, kind of feels like there is one there, but that's quite a large house right next to conservation land. So I think I'd like to hear more from Concom eventually.
Sure.
So
Absolutely.
that's all I have for now.
Why are you saying 82, why are you saying 82 feet?
Well, this is
The
saying
frontage.
82 feet of frontage is all they have on the lot instead of the normal
It's a
100, right?
non-conforming lot.
Right.
It's a
So why
non-conforming
are we
lot
here
to
for that
start.
reason then?
What?
Unless they already have a variance for that.
It's already pre-existing.
Yeah.
Pre-existing variance.
Yeah, it's a pre-existing non-conforming lot,
It's up in
so,
Windmill.
I was there
Yeah.
yesterday. Went with her.
yeah. All right, that's all I have.
Okay, thanks. Charles?
Sure, I have a couple of questions. Just when you're looking at the house, we're talking about the left side, where the variance is gonna be, right?
Correct. Yep.
Not encroach on your neighbors, but on the left side.
Yes, that's correct.
So, for me, for these types of variances, there's 3 different things you kind of need to prove. It's on the applicant to prove. It's, 1, a hardship, based off of the structure, the topography of the land, detriment, whether or not it will be a detriment to the public good, and especially if it derogates from the intent of the bylaw. So I'd just like to hear some comments on that.
Sure. Yeah, so I think in terms of hardship, starting there, it's pretty rare that somebody could have a home that's fully paid off. So, as a family grows and they try to, either move or change their house to fit their lifestyle so they can age in place, with the rising cost of land, finding somewhere else in town to rebuild, there's a huge hardship there. I think it's very rare for someone to own their property outright and be able to rebuild there. And then also just, that's kind of the intent of the first floor master, right? To make it a bit more friendly, to allow them to age in place, and also just more space for family and friends and things like that. In terms of that, the desirable relief would not become a detriment to the public good. Driving through the neighborhood, it's pretty common. A lot of these smaller houses in that neighborhood have been torn down for larger houses that have been replaced with. Just right across the street over at 7 Crest Ave, that house is about 65 feet long with a 2-car garage shooting off. And then, driving around, I think there are other areas of encroachment just because a lot of these homes are older and might have pre-existing zoning. So I don't think it's, a single example of something like this happening in that neighborhood.
I have a split level, so I can understand the potential for hardship. I don't know if it necessarily applies in this spot yet, but other than that, do you have any like a rendering of what the house will look like at the end?
Like I said, you know, it'll be like a, you know, standard two-story craftsman box colonial type house.
Okay, thanks. I don't have any questions at the moment.
All right. Joe?
Basically, I've heard a few, I'd just like to hear what conservation would like to say.
Sure.
Yeah, I too am interested in what conservation has to say, but the land to the left of your house is all conservation land?
Correct, yes.
So the intent of the zoning is density, of course.
Right.
And I don't think it's gonna, I'm not agreeing with anything. I'm just saying that the fact that it's only on the left side of that house at the end of a dead-end street up against conservation, it's not gonna have a negative effect on any density for anybody, with the exception of the people across the street. And maybe they're here, maybe they're not, I don't know. But,
Okay.
so there's that. Just to speak on, you want to talk about the other houses in the neighborhood and stuff. I mean, the board doesn't set precedent.
Right.
So we really can't take that into consideration. But, I mean, depending upon what we hear from the Conservation Commission, I'm not totally against it or anything like that. I don't think it's going to have a negative effect if we're going to do it. See what the neighbors have to say and such, you know?
Okay. So, yeah, I'm basically on the same page with that. So we have Ms. Coleman and Mr. Cohen from the Conservation Commission. If you guys would be able to come up and see if we can answer some questions here.
Do you guys have a copy of the letter?
I don't have any copies of anything because we found out we had no recording clerk tonight, so.
Okay, well, I'll just hand these over to Ned.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I think you got a second letter.
I got it. There you go. No worries.
These are just to show you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so for your record, I'm Eileen Coleman, I'm the Conservation Administrator. This is,
For the record, Larry Cohen, Chair of the Conservation Commission.
Okay.
so, if I may.
Yeah, I just had a couple, well, you can go first.
Okay,
Yeah.
we just wanted to explain that as you have said, the Littlebrook Conservation Area is a direct abutter to this property, and what they're proposing is to build a new house that will be 5 feet away from the conservation area. It may seem like that's not a very big deal. It's certainly, we're not concerned about density, we're not concerned about the height of the property, we're really concerned about proximity. Any construction that's that close to trees and shrubs and plantings is going to do some damage to those plants. As most of you probably know, for larger trees, for mature trees, their roots extend as far as the drip line or further. So, and this is a heavily treed area that we're talking about in there. It's also an area that is really, it's passively managed. We don't keep a close eye on this. So if there are any trees that are, you know, in close proximity to the house that are in danger of coming down, we won't necessarily know about it the same way that a regular property owner with a house would know about it. There is already an existing shed that's actually on our conservation area. I'm not saying that the current applicants are to blame because that shed seems to be there for a long time. I don't know who built it, but it's sort of the point is that we sometimes do have encroachments onto our land, including the fence by a little bit, that we are just simply not aware of, and we don't want this to continue. We don't want encroachments. That is town land. It's passively managed, and that is the way we want to keep it. Larry, do you have something to add?
Just a couple of brief comments. Good to see you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We often see where not just the construction of it, but the construction equipment will often damage the roots. And we often get people, when things are built very close to the trees of an opposing property, what happens is we get requests on a regular basis when things are this close to take down the trees. Some of it's based on just a logical fear of a tree falling on their home because they have a child or somebody in a bedroom nearby. That happens all the time. And sometimes it's a legitimate concern because the tree is compromised. You know, it either has something wrong with it in terms of the way it is split, the way it's grown, the way it's leaning, and so forth, and we try to be very sensitive to that. But I wanted to point out that we had hearings when we were considering our bylaw a while back, and we got input from people in the business, in the trade, the construction trades. And one of the things that we as a commission were proposing is that we should have a rule that says you must maintain the trees in the side lots within that 15-foot zoning setback. And the input that we got from the construction people there is it's just simply not possible. When someone builds on the 15-foot line and there's trees nearby, pragmatically, they don't survive, is what happens. And so, in the end, for that reason, because we got, on more than one occasion, that kind of a comment, we simply did not write into our bylaw or regulations that they must preserve trees in the side lot. So there is a real possibility that that vegetation that close could be damaged when something is 5 feet from the lot line.
Okay, thank you. So I have a couple questions. So you had a hearing on this?
We brought it up as a discussion item in our last meeting, just because we had received the abutter notification. So I was alerting the commission to the fact that this was coming up.
All right, so you voted to come here?
No,
There wasn't a vote, it was just a,
I
it was a
think,
discussion
I think we
item.
voted to send you a letter.
The
Stating-
commission voted to send this letter?
Yes.
Do you have any minutes or anything on that that I can put into a decision?
The minutes
Do you
are
have
not
any
yet
paperwork?
created, but we can pass those on to you when the minutes are created.
So you don't have anything right now?
No, they haven't been created yet.
Okay, so it's under my understanding that it cannot be seen as the commission if you have no paperwork to back that up. You are a direct abutter. So you're speaking on this not as the commission, but as abutters.
Well, I and the vice chair have signed it on behalf of the commission.
Okay,
I guess it's
I
a
need
vote.
something showing that you took a vote. That's what I need for that. But regardless of it, so we have the educational portion of it right now. So this is not jurisdictional land, this is land controlled by the Conservation Commission, not
Yes, if you say
wetlands
jurisdictional,
jurisdiction.
It's not yes, correct.
Yes.
Is it not wetlands? That's not our concern. Our
Yeah.
concern is more just
So
proximity.
you're neighbors.
Right.
Just for
Yes.
common layman's terms, you're
We're-
the
we are-
neighbors.
We are direct abutters, and we wouldn't
Yes.
have an issue with a larger house, but they do have room to play with, running towards the back, and they've no trees on that property as it is. So they have a pretty substantial backyard.
Okay, I just
they-
wanted to clarify a couple
Okay.
points there. All right, so I'm gonna open it up to the board. Well, so you can ask questions of the Conservation Commission. We'll start with John.
So have you been out there? Have you checked? Are there any trees, big major trees within 5 feet of this property line?
Not within necessarily 5 feet. It's a very heavily treed. If
Yeah,
you look at the
I
aerials,
saw
it's
it.
very heavily
I
treed.
saw it, but I didn't see, massive trees that you're talking about. I mean, there's some growth, but
Well, not within 5 feet, but I mean, what they're proposing to do is put this new house within 5 feet of the property line.
yeah, it'll still be 5 feet back from those bushes that are there, that wildlife that's there, that wild bushes that are all along.
But as we
I
explained,
didn't-
larger
you talked about-
larger trees have roots that extend.
I'm asking, that's what I was asking you. Are there larger trees close to that property line? I didn't see any.
There are some larger trees there. I did not do any measuring.
When I looked at the aerial photographs, there are some trees. I would guess that it's not within the first 5 feet on the other side of the property line. I would guess that it is greater from what I can say. It's maybe five or more feet.
5+ feet away from the.
5 or
property
plus
line.
feet from the property line is what I would guess from what I looked at it. I looked at pictures from 2018 on Google Earth Pro, and to see what I could see, it was during the winter time when there are no leaves, and yeah, it's not right on the property line.
I think the one you have is from 2020, and it's also from before leaf out, so you're seeing it looks pretty bare.
I'd like to hear what the owners have to say about Conservation Commission has to say.
What's the blue line
Let's-
represent?
Yeah, right.
Is that the lot lines?
The blue line is the approximate property line according to the
So the fence,
assessors.
And
Yeah, the fence is not quite concurrent, but again,
on the
we're
submitted,
not quibbling about 2 feet.
on the submitted survey, the fence does cross outside of the property line, just like it does with.
so the fence is the property line.
Right, the fence crosses outside of the property, and that shed is definitely outside of the property line as well.
Through the chair, if I may, do you
Yes.
have copies of the certified plot plan that was submitted with this filing, or?
I have it here,
Okay,
so I can show you gentlemen on my screen.
yeah. Yeah, if you can show it on the screen, that'd be great.
Yeah, again, I apologize, we got a little
Yeah.
bit of a mix-up not having any paperwork tonight.
it's all
That
good.
came as a surprise.
It's all good.
Certified plot plan.
Are they telling me that the blue line is the property line?
Yeah, that's what they're saying, is the
Yeah,
shed.
that's
So
not a certified plot
Yeah.
plan,
Oh,
that's,
okay.
that doesn't matter. So you
No,
can
that-
come and
that-
take a look
That's
at my
really just
screen.
approximate.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty close, honestly.
You can see the shed straight out.
Yeah, the shed extends over it, the fence extends over it. I mean, it's a good reference point, but it is not a certified plot plan to go off of. Looks like if you want to come and see my screen, you can see the fence jogs off the property line about halfway down the length of the house.
Not as severe as this.
Yeah, it's still gonna be 5 feet on this side of it.
No.
I wanna see what they say.
Actually,
It's on this side.
no, we're looking, yeah.
It's,
So the
Column right
the
here.
fence is completely within the line on the right side. Yeah, the jurisdictional side, that's that over there. So this is the street up here.
Mr. Chair, may I make 2 very brief comments?
Go ahead.
One is that I would wonder whether that this project could be done with 5 more feet. For example, instead of having 5 foot being so close, being 10 feet for the property line. That would be one question I would wonder about. And the second is, can the house be constructed so you don't have to have heavy equipment entering the property from that side? Because, you know, in addition to damaging tree roots, just having heavy equipment go through that narrow area could cause a lot of damage.
Excellent questions.
Yeah, thank you. So I just want to go through, anyone who wants to ask questions of conservation first, and then I want to bring the homeowners up. So, John, you're all set?
I'm good.
Joe?
It's, right now, the footprint shows about 2,500 square feet,
Okay.
just the first floor only.
Is that all?
Yeah, I'd like to hear what the homeowners have to say.
Okay. So,
Yeah, I don't have any other questions.
any questions conservation related?
No.
All right. Yeah, you want to just take a seat for a moment? I want to get the homeowners up here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
sure, thank you.
The homeowners, yeah, please come up to the microphone, just introduce yourself for the record. All right. Can you introduce yourselves for the record?
I'm Mrs. Patel, he's Mr. Patel.
Okay. All right. Well, John?
Yeah, so I have questions for you. You heard what the Conservation Commission just asked.
Yeah.
They asked, instead of 5 feet, could you live with 10 feet? If you could live with 10 feet off the line, they can live with it, and put up with their argument. That'd solve a lot of problems for us.
But I feel like I wanted to build with 2-car garage. That's why I need some little bit more space. I want to build with 2-car garage. When I put the 2-car garage, so I have like a small space for my kitchen and dining area, living area. That's why I need little bit more space so I can make my bedroom, living room, dining room, and garage, everything. That's why asking for the more space. And I need the 2-car garage with my car. That's why asking more space.
Okay.
Yeah. And one, I'm like a disability, so I need the one master bedroom on first floor. That's why I need more space,
Okay.
yeah.
Anything else, John?
Nope.
All right, thank you. Joe?
So right now, you're proposing 62 feet in length.
Yeah,
Shrinking it 5 more feet puts you about 57 feet. Then you would have to extend it back from 40 feet to about 43 feet, 44 feet, so you would get the depth in the back by shortening the front, and that would keep you 10 feet from the property line.
There you go.
but it's going to
You
be,
still, still the same square footage, you're just going from 62 to 57 feet. You know, you don't have an architect yet, so you don't have any hard drawings or preliminaries or anything like that,
yeah,
so.
that's why I'm asking, like, I
It's
don't know, maybe I can go
57
back. I
feet
go
is
back.
is a long house.
Yeah, I know, so it's going to be like a,
Your split's
like a
probably
split like
about
this way and go back
anywhere
like
from
this. But I
44
wanna
to
be equal,
48.
That's why I need.
Do we have that measurement? The existing? Probably a
Existing-
46-foot split?
The existing house,
28,
2643.
43, so yeah, it's tiny, so you,
Yeah, it's a little over
14
40.
feet longer.
A little over 40.
I mean, keeping the setback at 10 feet.
Is it? Through the chair, if I may.
Go ahead.
Would the board be amenable to, instead of reducing the size of the house, encroaching into the other side setback? Like instead of, because right now we're, as designed, where we meet all setbacks on the other 3 sides.
So that's not what's being advertised, so that would be a completely different hearing
Okay,
to do something like that.
I wouldn't be inclined to go for that.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we propose
It
what we
looks
have
like
here
the neighbor
today.
to the right is barely at his setback as well.
Right.
You're right there.
His
Right.
deck is, you know, that doesn't meet the setback, so I don't think that's an option.
All right, let me continue down the line,
I'm good.
Joe. All right, Charles?
Yeah, just first, I would say I don't want to correct one problem by making a note. So I think that I would have a hard time encroaching on the other abutters' land. That being said, you know, I was going to have the same question as if you can make it deeper. It's kind of why I asked about if you had any plans, because it'd be hard for me to, you know, unless you can show me that you can't make it, you know, 5 feet smaller, it's going to be hard for me to vote, you know, yes on this one. So, you know, I'd like to be able to see something a little bit more detailed, I guess, than just a plot plan.
Okay.
That's my only comment.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I'm in alignment with what I'm hearing up here. I know you can get a 2-car garage into 24 to 26-foot width. So with that, even at the 57 feet mentioned, there's a substantial amount of first-floor house, and there's room to go back as well. I think you can have a very well-designed, very spacious living quarters of 57 wide, whether it's 40 deep or 42, 43.
Right.
I think it can be designed without really a lot taking away from it. That's just kind of how I view it, and along with the others, you know, without a completed design, it's really hard to approve anything to a dated design, because we don't have one.
It's okay.
Yep.
I think it's okay.
Okay. So I have a couple questions too. I echo what Charles said about we don't have any renderings, anything at all. We usually do this based on that.
Right.
Having those available, as well as what really is the hardship. I totally understand the part of needing single-floor living, aging out of the current style, what you have right now. I can totally sympathize with that. However, the way we have to decide is based on a hardship. Why couldn't you go deeper rather than wider?
Because deeper is like after the car garage, I make like a living room and anything is going to be like a, not too wide, like and go into the long, and I want to be like a
Okay.
nicely like, you know, I can.
So
explain
aesthetics
what-
is not a hardship. So you really can't get on that.
And it's,
If there was a reason you couldn't go deeper, that would be a hardship. That could be a topographical hardship.
Yeah,
You're not
well-
presenting anything like that to us. You know, we can look at the, doesn't cause a severe detriment to the public good, doesn't derogate from the intent of the bylaw, you know, cutting it back a little bit, going to a 10-foot setback rather than a 5. You know, it sounds like people could be a little bit more amenable to that, but, you know, the density, it shouldn't be a problem. John was touching on that. You know, you're abutting open land, so it's not gonna affect the density by doing that. But I'm having trouble trying to see where your hardship is. You know,
Because
if
I
you
need
had
one master
a large boulder in the backyard, some ledge that would be expensive to hammer through, and you couldn't go any deeper, then I could see a topographical hardship to that. So I'm having a tough time trying to find that.
Well, I need the master bedroom on first floor too. That's why I like.
Yep, and I said I can totally sympathize with that.
Kitchen, living room, dining room, I
Yep.
make it, you know.
And
There's a mud
that's why
room.
I'm asking, why can't you go deeper? And all you've said is the aesthetics, and you don't want your living room to be narrow. That's not a
Yeah.
hardship.
That's why I don't want to be like a narrow. I need little bit nicely looks. That's why I need little bit more space.
Right.
For look nice and wide.
Right. Yeah, through the chair, if I may, I think it's more about, you know, the operation of the house than the aesthetics. When you end up with these longer things, you have farther distances to travel between these rooms. You know, we're kind of towing the line between aesthetics and
Yeah.
use here.
But without a preliminary, it's hard to
Right.
vote on that without seeing it.
Yeah, and, you know, from our perspective, we didn't want to spend a bunch of money on plans through an architect just to come here and for you to say, hey, look, you know, you can't do 62, we'll give you 57. So I think that's kind of why our filing is the way it is.
Okay. I think I would rather see something of a floor plan, something a little bit more than just a box.
Okay.
Is that something you're amenable to, coming up with a little more detailed of a plan?
I know, but we see that house like.
Sh- Yeah, basically show us why it needs to be like that. You know, we can understand a little bit of a topographical variance where you're on a pre-existing non-conforming lot and you don't have 100 feet of frontage, but it sounds like people would be a little bit more amenable if you went to 10 feet instead of 5. So is that something you can take under consideration? We could continue the hearing and give you a little bit of time to go over that and come up with that? Is
A
that?
little bit time because I not understand 100%, so I need little bit time, you know.
Okay.
Why they not give it to me 5 more feet.
Yeah, so would August 6th or the 20th be preferable to you to come back to us?
6 is okay.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna keep the public hearing open. Would somebody like to make a motion?
Make a motion to continue the hearing to August 6th on or after 7:30 PM.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to continue hearing 24-29 for 5 Creston Ave to the meeting of August 6th on or after 7:30 PM. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 5-0-0. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next application on our agenda is 24-30 for 61 Middlesex Turnpike. Attorney Thomas Murphy, representing Nuria Energy Corp.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. I do a little short staff, so I just ran off copies of what I had filed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I also have a larger, which I can pass around when we get to that point, so you can see a little bit better. Just show us what to look at. Essentially, this is property down in Middlesex Turnpike. It's Noria Corp. owns the, well, actually leases the site. There's a Shell gas station in a newly constructed retail store. It's on the site. We were actually before this board, I think back in February, with sign variances.
Can you move the mic a little closer, please?
If any of you have been down that way, you'll know that the retail store and the gas station opened up probably a month or so ago, 2 months maybe. They went before the planning board in part and parcel of getting a occupancy. They had to go to the planning board, get the site plan finalized. There are a couple of tweaks that are generally made during the construction phase. The one thing that wasn't on the site plan when the planning board approved the final one was the electronic vehicle charging equipment. They were still in the process of kind of squaring that away and getting the equipment that they needed on paper. So that's not on the approved site plan. They are now ready and hoping to move forward with installation of that equipment. The building inspector has indicated that, in his opinion, we needed a variance because the equipment is within the 15-foot setback from the property line. So that's what's before the board this evening. We've got variance requests for equipment related to electric vehicle recharging. And if you look at the package that I gave you a copy of, it includes 4 EV reserve parking spaces, each no closer than 10 feet from the property, 2 charging stations and 1 EV meter and disconnect no closer than 0.5 feet from the property line, and 1 transformer and a concrete pad no closer than 1.5 feet, 1.5 feet from the property line. So those are all the equipment required to get the electric vehicle charging station up and running. If you look at the plan that I have here, and like I said, I'll give it to you in a second. This is the Middlesex Turnpike. This is the retail store. These are the gas pumps. Over here is where the EV equipment's going to be. The charging station's going to be right up here. There are 3 or 4 parking spaces nosed in where they'd stop to charge. And then down here is the pad where the transformer is. They're all located. There's a strip of pavement ends here. This is the property line. There's shrubs along the property line. There's a Dunkin' Donuts there. If you will go by the site now, you'll see stone, patch of stone here, patch of stone up there, which is where the equipment's going to be mounted on, in the stone area. So that's where we're talking about, Mr. Chairman. This area here is the EV equipment that is being proposed. The building inspector said that because, in his opinion, this was not this use was different than the gas station use, which is why he says we need a variance to put this equipment less than 15 feet from the property line. He and I kind of disagreed on that a little bit. If you go by any subdivision in town that's been newly constructed, there are electric boxes right on property lines and stuff like that. But appealing a building inspector decision, I'm coming before you folks, or requesting a variance, I'm coming before you folks. So I thought this was an easier way to do it. So in any event, that's the gist of the variance requests, of those ones that I just enumerated here. They're spelled out in the application. With respect to what's required under the statute, I would suggest that there is a hardship here. This is a completely renovated, built-out site. Went through a very intensive permitting process about 1.5 years ago between the planning board and all the other boards that are involved. The site, as it's built out, is what was agreed to and what was instructed by the town. There was no other place on this site that we can put this electric vehicle equipment without interfering with traffic flow or the other use of the property. So I would submit that we are constricted by the size of the lot and the location of the lot and the other mandated by the site plan items that are currently existing on the lot. I would suggest that it's not detrimental to the public good. I would say just the opposite. If you believe what you read, electric vehicles are kind of the thing of the future, and part and parcel of that is having places where they can get charged. So this is a benefit to have a charging station that's available to people who come off the highway and get their car charged and go on their way. As far as derogating from the intent of the bylaw, I would suggest that these setback things are more privacy than anything else. This is a commercial area, it's a BG district. There are some bushes shielding these items from the neighboring property, but this is not an area where, this is not a residential subdivision where people are expecting to have a little privacy between their properties. So that's essentially the gist of what we're asking for, Mr. Chairman. With me is Michael Durant, who's he handles this project for Noria. And we're happy to answer any questions that you may have, and I'm also happy to give you this board if you want to pass it around, just to get a better sense of what we're doing. Charging stations, and a couple of the equipment that goes with that, be right here. These are the nodes and parking spaces, the transformers, and this is probably that.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Murphy. We'll start over here with Jeremy. We already looked at it. You have any questions?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. The first, I'm not sure you'll have an answer to, but do you know the size of the current building compared to what used to be on the site, the gas station and the D'Angelo's? Are we net down on building space on the site since pre-renovation?
I would say and this is just, the previous gas station / mini mart added to the D'Angelo's building, I would say this certainly isn't any larger than that. Whether it's smaller, I don't know, but the D'Angelo's building was a pretty decent-sized building.
Yeah.
The gas station was smaller than the existing structure. If you add them two together, I'd say it's probably pretty close.
Okay. I'm just thinking about density, and the other one is more about the use of the electric vehicle chargers. In other Noria locations, have you seen any changes in spending with consumers? I mean, because I've heard it proposed where people are there a lot longer and they spend money. Is there any correlation that you guys have seen that would increase sales in the town?
For the record, Mike Durant with Noria Energy. To answer your question, it's still early. We've only recently installed a few electric vehicle chargers, so we need to collect the data, go through it, and assess what's actually happening. But it's very new throughout the industry.
Thank you. Those are all my questions.
All right, thank you. Charles?
Gotta be honest, this is a new one for me. I've been in the construction field for over 20 years, and I've never had to get a variance for a transformer, so this is a new one. So can you just explain a little bit more, I guess, on, are these being considered like structures, or is it just because it's like a change of use?
These, and I'm giving you my interpretation of my understanding of and I've had I spoke with the building inspector about this, but my understanding essentially is that these are considered structures, and because they are not, get the exact word that he used, I probably have his email here someplace. Because it was not ancillary to a gas station, retail store use, it needs a variance. And my interpretation of that was that if it was deemed ancillary and I'm not quite sure what that means, but if it was deemed ancillary, then it would be okay to be within the 15 feet. So the only way I can kind of parse that in my mind is that traditionally, gas stations didn't have electric charging stations because those were a new thing. So therefore, when one proves a gas station on a site, you don't necessarily expect an electric charging station will come with it. So therefore, it's a separate use. And so because it's a separate use, it doesn't fall within the umbrella of the permitted use, and thus it has to meet setback requirements. And that's a little bifurcated, I think, but that was my understanding. Like I said, I didn't necessarily agree with it. I could kind of understand a little bit where he's coming from, but appealing his decision to you folks, frankly, is messier than trying to come to you folks for variance.
I don't have any problems with what's being proposed. I don't have any other questions.
All right, thank you. Joe?
So it's all the equipment in the easement that's gonna be in the setback, basically, whether it's the transformer and the 2 pedestals or 4 pedestals, whatever they are.
Correct.
And it's all underground wiring, obviously, because it's a handhold.
That's also correct. He also, if you look at the plan, there's a little jog in of a couple of feet where the nose of the cars, the parking lot, doesn't go straight back, like a little jog. And so, because that little jog will put the nose of your car within the setback, the variance request also includes the parking spaces. Because again,
So if you're at Dunkin' Donuts, can you back up
no.
and plug in,
If you have your own extension cord, maybe. But
checking? I didn't know how close it was.
I don't quite know how those work. Well, I don't think you can do that, because it's all going to be facing the Noria station. It's going to be the charging stations, then there's a space, and then there's bushes, and then there's Dunkin' Donuts.
All right, I don't have issues.
All right, Sean?
No issues. Any thoughts of a fence or anything between the two to hide them from Dunkin's?
I don't know if we've talked about it, but
We were requested to bolster the landscaping that was originally proposed. So what's out there today was an increase in the landscaping. So the shrubs that are out there,
What you have there now is increased to try to conceal the,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
During the site plan approval process that we went through a year and a half ago, they asked us to maximize green space as much as we can and get some plantings in there, so. And I would, if you, it's a pretty good row of shrubs along there right now, not as much as a 6-foot fence, obviously, but it's a pretty solid shield.
I'll go by.
Okay. And it's the same property owner for the gas station and the Dunkin' Donuts, so,
Different trust, same
yeah,
guys wearing the same hat, yeah.
yep. So, they obviously have no problem with it.
No, they don't. In fact, they signed off on the application.
Yep. So everyone else asked the questions I was going to ask. I really have no issue with it, and it seems to make sense. Does anyone else have anything else to add? All right, I'm going to open it up to the public, even though there's no one behind you. So I don't think anyone's coming up. So does anyone have anything
Motion
to
to-
add? So, go ahead.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to close the public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500. All right, so does anyone else have anything they would like to add?
I'll make a motion to approve variance for 4 EV reserved parking spaces, no closer than 10 feet from the property line. I don't know if we can do it that way.
We can do it at 10 feet from the
10.
property line,
Is
and
it-
they do
are they-
less, they do less.
Yeah,
Are they 10 feet?
10 feet is fine.
So 4 EV reserves parking spots, 10 feet from the property line. 2 charging stations and 1 EV meter in disconnect at 0.5 feet from the property line. And 1 transformer and concrete pad 1.5 feet from the property line.
Second.
All right, the motion has been made and seconded to approve 24-30, 61 Middlesex Turnpike for a variance for 4 EV reserved parking spaces 10 feet from the property line, 2 charging stations and 1 EV meter and disconnect half a foot from the property line, and 1 transformer and concrete pad 1.5 feet from the property line. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500. Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Chairman, thank you, members of the board. Thanks, John.
All right, the next item on our agenda is the minutes for July 2nd. Has everyone had a chance to review them? Okay. Do we have any motions?
Make a motion to accept the minutes last week.
Second.
All right, the motion has been made and seconded to approve the minutes from July 2nd, 2024. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500.
Motion to
Oh, you
adjourn.
abstained. I'm sorry. 401. I forgot you weren't here. All right. Other motions?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500. Good night.